Okay, I believe we have success. And the Condor is in the process of landing, everybody. Wow. We're getting some rain. And I wouldn't say cool weather, but cooler weather than I would normally expect in the Willamette Valley in mid-August. John Deschler here, coming to you from the Mount Angel Theater studio. I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping to do my best to pull this off. And I'm expecting my friend Cathy Cheney to come in. She came in. She had to go home and turn off a hose. And so we will begin that in 15 minutes or so when she copy link. Okay, so I've copied the link. On my phone, I've got the program working over there, the OBS. This is all live right now. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to go like that. And then I'm going to go like that. And what do we got? Mount Angel Theater Studio, Tune Tours, and voila. Hopefully that will do it. Let's see if it does it. No comments yet. I don't want comments. What I'm trying to do is post the link to the live stream. Maybe I was not successful at doing that. I might try to do that again. To Facebook, so that any and all of my Facebook friends that might just be chilling for a minute, let me try that again, can in fact now streaming watch other stories. What do I want to do? I'm going to go to the actual stream. I'm going to turn the volume off. I'm going to say share, copy link. And now I'm going to go back to the Facebook. See if this takes us there. Maybe it is working. Yes, it is working. Okay, folks, thank you very much. John Deschler here, live from the Mount Angel Theater studio in beautiful downtown Mount Angel, Oregon. A humble, historic rural town of about 3,500 people, approximately 40 miles south of downtown Portland, Oregon, the financial center of our gorgeous, large state of Oregon, and about 20 miles northeast of our capital, state capital, Salem, Oregon. We're about 8 miles, maybe or roughly speaking, as a crow flies, off of the I-5 itself, while actually being considered, I would say, in the I-5 corridor. And this is the beginning of my live streaming effort that's going to begin to include other people and guests. I've been testing this. I've repurposed this old theater studio now and a lot of old equipment to pull this off, and it seems to be working reasonably well. And so there you have it. Just to promote a few things, I put together a rather significant program of performances and films for the 2024 Mount Angel Oktoberfest, which is okay, we got to keep it rolling here. September 12th to September 15th. I believe the Oktoberfest is in September, most likely and most plausibly because of weather conditions, generally speaking. But I'd have to ask someone with more authority. I've been the proprietor of this humble historic space now for 2.5 years. Excuse me, 2.5 years at the behest of my dearly deceased friend Stu Rasmussen. Look him up if you care to. He was a significant local figure and somewhat of a significant national figure. I believe he had cameos on Portlandia and other connectivity to the broader culture at large out there in the country than just in the local area. So that might be Cathy Cheney now, and if so, we're rolling and we're ready to go. There she is. I decided to start. So we are rolling right now from downtown Mount Angel, Oregon, in the humble Matt's Mount Angel Theater studio. You can do your thing. We're rocking and rolling in an authentic. Don't forget, Mayberry meets McNeil Lair in Mount Angel. That's our concept. Is it? Oh, you should. As long as you're there, yeah. And tell me, are the scenes rolling? Is it going? Is it rolling between the scenes on the screen?
Yeah.
Is it going? Which camera? 1, 2, or 3?
What do you want to see?
Tell me what I want to know. What you're seeing? Am I waving at you?
Yes.
Is it from camera number 1?
Okay.
Yes.
That's camera number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that where I am?
Yeah.
Okay, so wait a minute and confer with me. In the next 60 seconds, it should move to camera number 2. That's when you should make your entrance.
Oh, okay. Where's 2?
Right there.
So I just walk out?
You'll just come this way and come sit down here. Yeah. How did it go?
Very well, thank you.
Did you have a nice game this morning? Did you play?
I over-pickled.
Cathy is a pickleballer, a regular pickler baller.
Yes.
Pickleballer.
Yes.
Let's move this in front of you.
It's one of the more popular spots now.
And you do that in Silverton or Salem?
We're doing it in.
Woodburn?
There's places that do it in Salem. I don't like to go that far. I'm doing it in Woodburn at the courts.
Nice.
And then they're also doing it at the Emmanuel
Indoor
Lutheran.
or outdoor? Indoor or outdoor?
Well, the one I was at today was outdoor.
Okay.
They have really nice courts there, but very soon, judging from how hard it's raining right now.
Just keep talking. I'm just going to move that a little closer so we don't have to worry about it.
Judging from how hard it's raining right now, it just started. And I'm like, I'm not ready.
It is kind of
Oh, yeah. My pants are wet.
Yeah. I was telling the people out there, not that anybody's watching right now, but they could be, theoretically. That's the point.
Yeah.
And they might later.
Yeah.
That's what I think. They might go back and say, who's he talking to now or something like that. And I said that we're having an unusually interesting August. It's been.
Yeah.
I said it wasn't cool, but it's cooler than it should be. And then
it's supposed to go up.
Is it going to go?
Yeah.
Is it going to get warmer? And then, but we're getting this rain, which the benefit of the rain is don't have to water the garden.
This is true.
Per se.
This is true.
Lowers our pressure of having to water. I have a vegetable garden. I've been harvesting tomatoes, cucumbers.
Oh, yeah.
I think I probably told you a week ago that I harvested about 6 gallons of plums.
Oh.
And I froze them. I love them. I love them frozen.
Well, we also have a fig tree.
Oh, nice.
And
is that in season right now?
Well, I did the same. This year we didn't quite get as many figs as usual. And so what I did was I froze the ones, and I have some left over frozen, and they're so good.
Nice. So Cathy and I go way back. Oh, I don't know. What do you think? 10, 15 years?
At least.
At least around the time I moved in back to Oregon into Markham.
Right.
Because I met you through Joel, I think, our mutual friend Joel. He'll know who he is.
Yeah.
And probably at a wine bar in Silverton or something like that originally, I'm guessing. And then relatively soon realized that we had a common profession. That is to say, the photography.
Mm-hmm.
which has then had our paths crossing off and on, and just living in these small communities that we live in as well kind of nurtures that bypassing contact, and more particularly now, because of the space that we're in, we both knew Stu very well, I would say.
Very well.
Yeah. And so that's going to be one of the reasons you're going to have to come back here regularly.
Well, in fact, one of my favorite photos of Stu that I took was in the theater in Silverton.
The Palace Theater that he ran with his business partner, Roger Paulson, for over 50 years.
He dressed as a woman and held a mask of himself
over his face.
And the theater seats just roamed back, and I just love that image. And I also, when Stu got sick, and they were doing a movie on him.
Yes.
And that's a couple years ago at least.
Yes, three,
at
4.
least. And when he found out that it was going to be archived at the UCLA
or USC film department.
Yeah. The world changed for him because he will not be forgotten.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons he wanted me to take this place over.
Exactly.
Because, because of the nature of our friendship, which was very innocent and kind of, very organic, much like ours.
Right.
But when I first moved into the Markham Meat Locker as my place for 10 years, that's how I got back up in this area, right? I didn't even know he had this place at that time.
I don't know either.
So, but he was mayor at that time. This is going back 14 years or so,
Yeah.
And but I made a point, because I'm a late blooming, realized human being, that I wanted to meet the first openly transgendered mayor in the country, 7 miles from where I lived. And that's what started our conversation. And then I would often see him at the Woodburn auction, particularly in the beginning of my effort to renovate my 140-year-old farmhouse that had been abandoned for 8 years. And so he watched me do all this stuff, and I shot him, as you know. You shot him.
Oh, yeah.
I shot him. I shot his commercial photos. You shot some of his editorial photos, maybe. And Cathy is a graduate, or at least an attendee, if not a graduate. Were you a graduate of the Brooks Institute?
Yes.
And I'm a graduate of the Pasadena Arts Center College of Design. I didn't mean to do too much of this certification orientation here today, but it is one of the things we have affinity on, because we both went to kind of commercial photography school at the end of the film era in Southern California at 2 very notable schools. And I had grown up down there in North Hollywood, but you had grown up on the East Coast.
I grew up in Connecticut and Vermont.
So, it's just kind of, and then, then we both had our own individual friendships with Stu. And you see that I had my son find the Stu high heel shoe chair before he left, because he had hidden it away.
I loved it, yeah.
And so I decided to bring that down. And then I don't know if you saw or if I told you, but Victoria told me a week and a half ago that she had another one.
Oh.
And she wanted to give it to me. So
nice.
that I went and got the other one.
Nice.
And now I have the president of my Substitute Teacher Association, who's going to come sit here next Friday in 1 week.
Nice.
And she has another one. And she's going to give it to me.
Oh, go figure.
One of these high heels.
What about me?
What do you think?
What about me?
Well, I'm just saying, what do you think? Well, Stu's got to be, that's my symbolism.
Oh, that is fabulous.
That anybody who knew Stu understands why I just went off on that little. But so I'm getting one more of these high heel furry shoes on account of Stu. Even though he's no longer with us, I feel like he's with us. If I end up with 50 of those shoes in the next year, you all are going to be witnesses and testament to the fact that maybe the spirit is still alive, huh? How about that? And I ain't going to church on it, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, Cathy and I have visited much more in the last couple of years since I've been downtown Mount Angel in the neighborhood. She often goes and I think checks her P.O. box. And if she sees me, she comes over and says hello, which I've appreciated immensely.
Well, you're welcome.
And she's been very supportive of the overall concept of everything I've tried to do here. And you saw the signs outside, yes? You didn't see my 2 big posters?
Oh, I didn't. I don't know why.
I'm going to show you. Because not much always happens that quickly downtown Mount Angel.
Yeah, that's true.
But I put these, here we'll go like this. They have the whole program.
Oh, that looks really good.
And it's formalistic, and it's saying, okay, town, okay, world, okay, universe, okay, Stu. I put together a custom program this year specifically for the Oktoberfest. I didn't really bother anybody. I only sent them 1 email. They never responded, but I'm not too, disappointed. Yeah. I'm going to try to play alongside, and I say, in addition to the standard Bavarian programming, come to, and we're here at Matt's, where we promote Oregon arts and artists, which is all I've done since I've been here. Yeah. And we have a very cool program going on. This will segue into a commercial. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. September 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, we have the Portland Lesbian Choir coming. We have the First Congregational United Church of Christ Choir on the park blocks in Southwest Portland coming.
Oh, wow.
I have a very accomplished opera singer coming, and I heard his accompanist yesterday. She visited. Phenomenal.
Oh, wow.
And Juan, Juan, little Juan from the high school.
Oh, yeah.
Juan Olasalan, who's been now a year or 2, I can't remember, at least a year at George Fox University.
Oh, good for him.
He's going to come in on Saturday night to perform some Beethoven, Rachmaninoff, Chopin, whatever. And I'm very happy to announce for the first time publicly with you.
I'm ready.
That my eldest son, Nate Deschler, will fly in from Nashville for this year's Oktoberfest.
Oh, that is exciting.
I am so happy about that. He told me yesterday. So he and I can play off and on. Neil, my partner in Tune Tours, can join us. And then in between all these other people who will come from the nearby cities to perform. And then I have a couple films, I think I told you. It's all on www.mtangeltheaterstudio.com. That's the website. Or maybe I'll start posting stuff here, but I'm talking about it here, which is the Mount Angel Theater Studio YouTube page, you see, is what this is. So, all right, back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Just kidding. But that is a plug of the most relevant thing besides this live streaming. Yeah. I'm going to next week hopefully get, as I said, Leslie Paulson. She's the president of the Oregon Substitute Teacher Association.
Oh, okay.
I'm the vice president. And we have this governor's task force at the legislature on substitutes going on right now. Wow. And I felt for some time that it's time for us to start talking about it publicly.
Nice.
And so that's what we're going to do here.
Okay.
I might lock the door. I don't know. Because we're a bit opinionated about Oregon education and the state of being and all of that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But that's for another show, ladies and gentlemen. And so back to today and the here and now. Thank you so much, Cathy, for being here. Cathy and her wonderful husband, John, who's a wonderful architect, have lived in Mount Angel for 35 years?
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
And so from my standpoint, we're neighbors.
Yeah.
I'm back and forth between Markham and here. It's all pretty, there's not much else going on,
Right.
So Cathy worked for over 25 years?
27.
27 years for the Portland Business Journal. And I've often said this to you before, and hopefully you'll remember this. that I believe, therefore, that before you got that job, I did do a few freelance, non-journalistic, commercial, promotional jobs and shoots for the Portland Business Journal out of, I think, my first Southeast Portland commercial photography studio. And for the life of me, every time I mention this to you, I cannot remember the graphic designer's name, but I could find it because I could find the, did they have this thing called the moving guide?
Not that I recall.
I think it was a magazine they put out annually.
We had some
and
magazines.
This was before 27 years ago. This was like 30 to 35 years ago.
Oh.
Because when did you retire?
It's been
a year?
A year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 27, I'm going to round it off. That would be like 30. So that'd be 494. No, 14 for 94, 95 is when you started.
Yeah.
And I probably did that work with them, I'm thinking, between 1988, when I first moved to Portland from L.A., and probably about when you started.
Yeah.
And
no,
and it was promotional stuff. So that was ironic.
I
Portland was a small city back then.
Yes. Well, when I got the phone call, at the time there was a lot of freelance work because there were so many publications and this and that, which are going
from them. You mean?
Not from the Portland Business Journal.
In general.
But I was working and I got a call from let's see,
Willamette?
at any rate,
Willamette?
I won't even go into it. But they from Dennis Anstein, and he said, Cheney. I said, Dennis? He goes, yeah. I said, what's up? He said, we just fired our photographer. He was a total ass, and we want you. And I went, well,
this is the publisher of the Business Journal?
No, he was one of the people that worked there, one of the higher eds.
Okay.
And I said, well, okay, great. Where are you working? He said, the Portland Business Journal. And I said, the Portland what? I said, I'm sorry, Dennis, that sounds very, I will fill in for you till you find the right person. And when I got there, he immediately said, you are the right person. You are the person that we want for this job. And then I realized very shortly, as they're explaining things and doing things, that they were giving me, they wanted me, which is big, because that's an incredible publication. And then two, yes, they wanted my work, period. And that was kind of like, okay.
For all their editorial stuff, all their stories. And you did that for how long?
almost 25 years.
They never hired anybody else to help you or anything like that?
Only when I was on vacation or something like that. Yeah.
So literally, if the people look
into... I will also add in that the benefits were incredible.
Incredible.
I mean,
your kids were little?
Your
kids were little? Were your kids little?
Yeah. Well, not at that time. They were a little bit older.
A little bit older. Okay.
Yeah.
And we were shooting film, right?
Yeah. For a short time.
In the mid to late 90s.
Yeah, because in fact, they kept coming to me and saying,
look at this.
We want to know the right time
to jump into the digital.
Switch over.
Yeah, what an interesting time that was.
Oh,
we should do a whole talk about that someday because that's something we both experienced.
Very interesting.
Oh my heavens.
Very interesting.
I mean,
and now,
let me just pause and
go
say,
ahead.
She's doing all of that when I'm doing commercial work in my own studio about not more than 2 miles from where she was when she went into the office. off of Burnside or on Burnside, wasn't it on
No, we
in the
well, let's see.
beginning?
We went in the
In the
beginning
beginning,
it
it was
might have.
somewhere else.
Yeah,
But then
and
it
then
was
it
on
went
Burnside.
downtown.
Yeah.
Then it's downtown.
And I just remember in the early era of the so-called digital revolution that I have a lot of baggage about, and you can see we're war-torn, digitally transitional photographers here. I would have to buy blank, often Kodak Gold CDs to back up whatever you were trying to do on the early computer systems,
Well,
the Pentium 386
oh,
or
God.
whatever.
Oh.
And you know how much those
I
discs?
can't go back to
You
that
know how much
period.
those discs were? Those discs, I have the jewel cases that you'd buy those discs in.
No.
$15.95. And half the time, you'd put them in the little drive, and about 30 seconds later, it would just pop out back at you by itself.
Yeah.
And you'd have to throw that one away. That one was corrupted. It didn't take. It didn't work. It was like a little seed that didn't germinate.
Well, I call it my magenta head period.
Magenta head period. I like that.
Well, because very early on there were not enough pixels.
For the magenta.
Yeah.
CMYK. Look it up. We can educate you more later, but this now you're getting the inside nitty gritty of the photography thing. And I want to I don't know how much time you have. You know me. I can go on like this forever.
Yes,
so this is going to be about how long you're comfortable
Yeah.
doing this.
Gotta go.
And we're improvising, right? Like in the divine tradition of Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker. Don't forget it. And one of the things I wanted to point to next is, however, and we can jump around, but one of the reasons this painting is here is because because two of my friends historically, when I moved back to this area, Cathy being one of them, reflected on this guy, this artist guy, John Simpkins, to me. And the reason she did that was because she had done an article, a story.
An article, and also gone out to where they were.
For was that for the Business Journal? Was that for the Business Journal?
No, it wasn't. It was for something else.
So you were picking up some freelance work along the way?
Yeah.
All these years?
Yeah.
So that was that a full-time job on call for the Business Journal?
No, it was only if I had time.
No, for the Business Journal.
It wasn't for the Business Journal.
I'm asking you about your Business Journal job now.
Okay.
Was that full-time?
Oh, yeah.
Was that on call?
It was on call with every benefit, you know, yes.
And so you maybe worked 40 to 50 hours a week, but you kind of got to sculpt it yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a tremendous benefit.
Oh, fantastic.
And so when the opportunity for another organization presented itself to go and photograph John? Or was that your own project?
I met John.
Was that your self-assigned project?
I met John on the Alvord.
Because why were you out there?
Because that's where he was to begin with.
And did you go there because you knew he was there?
Yes.
And is it because you were shooting a job for somebody?
No. I was introduced. I'm trying to think. It was just so long ago. Because then now John is over in a whole new place.
Right.
And it's actually working for him.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, John, our dearly beloved friend, my dearly beloved friend, and a friend to both of us, John Simpkins painted this beautiful picture. It's the largest canvas, I believe he told me, it's the largest canvas he's ever painted.
Right.
And it's of his faithful companion and support mechanism, his poodle, that he lived not a short while with this particular poodle, but there was another poodle that he lived with, I believe, for the whole time he was in the Alvord Desert, which is about as far southeast in Oregon as you can go. And it was a ghost town of Andrews.
Right.
And he lived in the teacher's house, and he painted in the schoolhouse, both of which had been abandoned for decades, I'm sure. And Cathy reinforced the notion of him to me probably at least 10 or 12 years ago,
Yeah.
because you had
Yeah.
been out there maybe in the previous 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
or something like that. And did you shoot him when you were out there? Or did you just stop by to say hello, or did you?
No, I did. Some shooting. We went out on the Albert Desert. We did this. We
Do you
did
have
that.
mutual friends?
Uh,
Maybe you guys had mutual friends, I'm thinking.
we not really. I
Okay.
can't even. No, somebody did. It's been just such a long time that
Okay.
I right now I'm just drawing a
Yeah.
blank.
Well, in any case, he's an exceptional artist. He's given me and us custody of this painting. Anything ever happens to me, you got to get to my sons to help get to him, although they're both Facebook friends with him too
Yeah.
now. So it's
Yeah.
a strange world we live in. But the point is, I couldn't bear that he was talking so much about leaving the state and that this incredibly beautiful state was going to let him leave.
Yeah.
That I wanted, with the advent of this space, to see if he wanted to leave a remnant of himself kind of around the state when he
Yeah.
departed for Iowa, which he did about a year ago, year and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so this another deep connection we have is this beautiful painter, artist, our dear friend, John Simpkins. Please look him up. He's all over the web. He's all over Facebook. And he's a sweet,
Oh.
sweet, smart,
Oh.
sweet, sensitive, observant human being.
Oh, yeah.
Which, since we're both observant human beings, we had to be for what we did for decades, I might add. Tell me a little bit about when you first started taking pictures.
Do you say it again?
When you first started taking pictures, were you a kid? Were you a small kid? Were you a teenager?
It was in middle school. I was raised in a small town. The family that was part of our church had a son, two daughters and a son, and their son Charles, when we were in middle school, he started to he would call me. We'd talk on the phone every night, and he would elevate me. He was so smart.
How old?
We were just getting into our early teens.
And he was the son of a neighbor?
He was the son of another family that lived in town.
Your age.
My age,
And
exactly my age.
And he was inspirational to you.
And he had two older sisters. One was Cathy Lloyd, who was married to Christopher Lloyd. And she did a lot of acting in New York City. And it was just Charles was just amazing. He would call me every night. He was so smart and so everything. And then, oh God, it was just we lived in a remote area, but I still remember I was weeding out my mother's iris bed, and I saw an ambulance go by, and then it went back the other way. And what had happened was that Charles, his buddy, they were bird hunting, put his rifle down without the safety on, and it went up through this beautiful brain. And I was devastated. I remember I went into the hospital and saw him, and I just fainted.
He survived?
Yes. Never the same person. And he's fortunately to have. So that was this trauma of my life.
Sorry.
And it is, ironically, my art teacher came and said, Cathy, we got a camera. I want you to learn how to use it and show the class. And I was like, oh, okay, and I fell
35,
in love with it.
35 millimeter?
Uh huh. Uh huh. All
You're
film,
like 14?
right in there. Yeah, 13, 14. And long story short, I just absolutely loved it. And then started, thinking about what I'm going to do. I want to, blah, blah, blah. So she mentioned the Brooks Institute in Santa Barbara.
Do you know, can I pause you for a second? Do you know what it was you loved about it? If
What
I,
I what I loved about
yeah,
it.
when you were a kid, because I was about the same age. I'd been photographing a little bit earlier, but I got my first dark room around that
Yeah,
age.
yeah, yeah. And I what it's funny because you love so many certain aspects of it,
Yes.
but very early on, I call it my magenta day, because you could not once because I was asked. I was who was I working for? It could have.
When you were a kid,
Oh, when I was a
when you were a
kid.
teenager, what did you love about it originally?
Oh, originally was just it was like magic. It was magical, and
When did you get into your first dark room?
um, it was sometime right around that period.
High school?
I think it was before that because it was before. There was no. It was that could be right because the whole thing. Yeah, because my teacher came to me after Charlie had his accident, and then it went from there.
And they had a dark room.
Yeah, and there was a dark room, and then I created one in the house too. And I tell you what,
Back porch.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I was just so it was so exciting to watch it. And then,
Well, in the
but then,
Dectal, I mean,
yeah,
in the
no, I
developer,
know,
that
but it
original
did,
thing that's only something that people in the 20th century, and particularly photographers, but let me tell you something, other people know what we're talking about who are our age or older
right.
because
Other,
it would be in movies, it
yeah.
would be in TV shows.
Oh yeah.
You'd see the reference of the darkroom. They'd always show you that shot. That was a tricky thing to get on film,
Yeah.
but to show a print coming up in a dark room,
Right.
real time, in
Right.
the yellow red light,
Well,
safe light,
yeah.
safe light. Maybe I should call this
Well,
Safe
in
Light
the
Studios.
early period of it, um, they asked me to say what would be the best time to go into this. What is going to be the best time? And there was not as much. I mean, today somebody wouldn't believe that you could be photographing somebody that has a lot of magenta, and then you couldn't get rid of it. I call it my magenta head period. But oh my gosh, that takes me back in time,
Yeah.
and I am so glad because the heads of the Business Journal asked me to find the right time to switch over.
Which
And,
was when? 2000?
yeah, something around there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2005, maybe.
yeah,
Being the fact that I didn't have a publisher behind me, I was always a little bit behind in terms of the megapixels,
yeah.
But I was always seeking resolution one way or the other, and if I really needed it, I might continue to shoot film. I mean, the last view camera film, large format,
Yeah.
that I shot, I think was in the last 10 years. I think
Yeah.
I did,
Yeah.
just a little bit. It's very expensive to use
Oh,
now.
definitely. And once they came into, the changes came of what you can do now.
Right.
It never made any sense to me to go back to chemicals.
No, well, hard to rationalize keeping the chemicals going. However, I don't know if you knew this, But at the end of my period in my Markham Meat Locker studio that I had for 10 years, you saw that
Yeah,
place.
yeah.
Um, about the last 5 years, I had put a black and white darkroom back in there, 3.5 gallon line for film. I might have contacted you and said something, but what happened was, and then to do some printing, particularly some platinum palladium printing, which I then later figured out how to make enlarged Epson negatives so that I could make those contact platinum prints. But then COVID killed all of that because that's when I gave up that studio.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was paying rent on that place.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
COVID made it so that it was impossible to rationalize doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But ironically, that led to all of this,
Right.
right? Because had I
Yeah.
because I asked Stu for some help in the fall of, I think it was the fall of 2020. I needed to teach a photography lesson, and I needed a place to do it.
Yeah.
And that's when he gave me a key to this place.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
so I used this place off and on for little things like that, a little photo shoot here or there.
Yeah.
For almost, I think, at least 2 years before he passed.
Oh, yeah.
And anyways, so Cathy and I, like I said, we go way back. She lives about 4 or 5 blocks from here. And we have this rich history that we share in the whole photography medium. I was going to compliment your story of your childhood engagement. My dad became a private pilot after he left the Marines and ultimately bought a small single-engine 4-place plane when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And he decided to write a book, kind of a directory, on flying and camping in the western United States. And that's when I first had a camera, a serious camera, a 35 millimeter camera, put in my hands when I was in the co-pilot seat and we'd be coming on approach to some grass field in often California, Oregon, or Washington, or Idaho. And I'd shoot these, try to get a decent exposure of a grass airstrip. And then he nurtured my interest in it and his need, because he was doing all that to write off the expenses for his airplane by writing the book, right? But that's why I ended up with my own darkroom when I was about 13 or 14 years old, originally in his garage with his second wife, et cetera, but they were not that far away from me. And then that's when I combined my love of the early love of the photography with my early love of the music.
Oh, yeah.
And started shooting all these incredible jazz pictures as a teenager growing up in Southern California.
Nice.
And so she and I started out really in the same end of the film era, doing this medium at a very intense level.
Very much so.
And I just thought it would be fun to have you in here and talk about it a little bit. And I think we should do it more so after this. Again, and we can come up with, concepts in film, concepts in, in whatever. And perpetuate this authentic conversation that I'm trying to imagine here in the humble Mount Angel Theater and Studio. So,
well, I am also on the photo council at the Portland Art Museum.
That's right.
And we have monthly meetings. And it's a really interesting.
Are those council meetings? Are they private? Are they open to the public?
No, they're private.
Okay.
Yeah. Julia Dolan is
right.
the head
I've
of
met Julia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
And you just process and talk about trends in modern photography.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's really interesting.
Interesting.
And.
Well, maybe one day she'll come down here and join us in a conversation.
Maybe. She might even do it.
And are you shooting much anymore?
Not as much, but it's not that I'm not going to be. So I've had a bunch of things to take care of.
Okay.
That I've maybe neglected at the house.
And therefore, I want to segue just a little bit. because I know personally that you have had, but I don't know any details, so I'm going to bring this up
Okay.
so that you can speak to this. That outside of your business journal experience and some other freelance clients, you've had some other connection to doing projects kind of globally.
Yes.
Can you speak to that and remind my old brain what it is
There,
and how it started and
how it
everything?
started.
Because at some point you're going to come in here and show us some of that
Oh,
work.
I've got some incredible imagery.
Yeah. So
Incredible imagery.
tease us.
Yeah. I ended up we were doing Habitat for Humanity, Global Village.
Bingo.
And the thing about that is it's you have to raise the money to make it happen. So I have to come up with X amount, and I can't even remember what it is right now. But when I was at the Business Journal, I had absolutely, I had Gert Boyle, I had every head of this, and boom, boom, boom,
access.
boom, boom. Yes.
You had wait a minute. Let's pause for the globe. She just reflected on, how do I want to say this to be polite and roughly middle class? Some of the she had access to some of the elite of Oregon that
the heads of companies,
generally speaking, were generally in Portland, the financial center.
Yeah.
And that's where the Portland Business Journal, of course, was.
Right.
So that's very interesting. And I don't know that I've ever put all the pieces of that particular part of your puzzle together in my mind. So that starts to do it.
Yeah.
So you could create the relationship with the Habitat, and then you could go out and say to Habitat, I'd like to do this for you, and I'm going to get these people to pay for it.
Well,
Is that what happened?
That was back then.
Okay.
Then my son, my darling son,
the airline pilot whose wedding I played for,
airline pilot for Alaska. And I didn't realize a wonderful thing. One, as his mother, I get to fly for free.
Incredible.
Anywhere Alaska goes.
Phenomenal.
Woo!
That's a perk for the pilots, huh? A pilot
and
perk.
they also do overseas flight with Eva Air, which I didn't know.
International
But I
airline.
found that out. Okay. So I was able to go to Cambodia with a couple other people from Habitat. And I was able to do it all,
so you didn't
flying forward and back.
And you didn't even have to ask any of...
My total was $130.
And you didn't have to ask Kurt or Gert or anybody for anything. But you continued the work. So how long did you do that work for Habitat? How long have you done that work?
I went over. We did some stuff overseas, and with a woman named Stacy Allison. And Stacy Allison's claim to fame is she was the first woman to go up Mount Everest.
To reach the top of Mount Everest as a hiker?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But how long have you been shooting projects or whatever for Habitat and traveling? 10 years? 20 years?
Yeah, but I basically have not been. I've been asked to do things. But the problem is that most of the things when somebody calls me from Habitat, I'm not getting paid.
Right.
That's one thing, which is okay. But the fact is, I have to get from point A way up. And it's just, I just feel like I have better things for my time.
But you did do a lot of that, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
We went overseas and it was a group, but it was at the same time. The difference is that I was still working,
right,
and know all these people. like the Boyles, they gave me everything for this one thing, all the money I needed and everything else. But now I don't have that.
So how many different places have you gone on account of Habitat?
Jordan, India. There was a place in South America. I can't even think of what it was. And there were a couple other.
And Cambodia.
Yeah, and Cambodia was a big one.
That's kind of a big deal. You know, a lot of Oregonians don't get to travel that much.
Oh, trust me, you don't know how lucky I feel.
At some point, we're going to need to see some of that work. I want to see some of that work.
Yeah,
and I've invited Cathy to put up at least one wall's worth of work during this year's Oktoberfest. Hopefully that's going to happen.
That's coming up pretty quick.
You got about 2.5 weeks to get me something. Yeah,
I'll see if I can.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can.
And but that's phenomenal. See, in my photography career, I would say about 60 to 70% of my work was studio work, right? Mm-hmm. Shooting people or products or concepts. Mm-hmm. And then maybe 30, 40, periodically there were years that I had more location work. But it was, generally speaking, I did some editorial work. I did a little bit of journalistic work. But most of it was for commercial purposes.
Right.
So that's the very interesting kind of complementary dynamic of our being able to engage in this conversation. So we're sitting here at the Mount Angel Theater Studio. We call it the Mats. I'm calling this endeavor Matt's TV now. Mm-hmm. And it's just Matt's modernity, live streaming, podcasting. And I can basically come in here now, and we can do this anytime we want.
Yeah.
If we're both having insomnia, we can say, text me, it's 2 a.m. Nothing. It's quiet. It's dead. There's not a mouse stirring. Let's go talk and, have a hot toddy or something or whatever. But pretty much, with just turning.
Here's another one I just was remembering was the Bagwan.
Oh, the Bagwan.
And I don't know, do you know the name Susan Orlean?
Was that his sidekick?
No.
Oh,
that was
I remember he had a female sidekick. I didn't know.
I'll think of her name.
You shot them for the Business Journal?
It was yeah.
You did? You went to the
I went out with Susan Orlean.
You went to the townette?
It's when they brought
what do they call that thing? A Rajma?
Yeah, something like that.
In Eastern Oregon.
Yeah.
You went out there and you were being paid by the Business Journal to shoot portraits of the guy or what?
No, I think that was with
Willamette Week.
No, that goes too far back. I think it was just freelance.
For the Oregonian?
I'm trying to remember exactly where, because Susan Orlean was the ones we got thrown out.
Oh, they didn't like you guys.
Well, once they realized
you're just
a few things.
You're just freelance journalists.
Right next to the Bagwan.
Wow.
And Sheila. Yeah.
That was the one.
Oh my gosh. And that was when they brought in the people to work there.
Yes.
And help and
homeless
all
people or something that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were trying to build a city or a town or something.
Oh, and he did. This is supposed to be
with all his Rolls Royces or
and
something like that.
He does a thing every day, driving his Mercedes. It's not a Mercedes. It's something bigger.
Rolls Royce? Was it a Rolls Royce?
Rolls Royce. Yes, thank you. It was more than that. Oh my gosh. And then all the people would be like this on the side.
How long were you able to stay there?
Once they discovered exactly.
A day? Were you there a day?
No, we were more than that, but not much more than that. But I got all the images I needed.
Incredible.
Because they let me in to begin with when they had the sit down every day with the Bagwan.
Do you still have all those images?
Yeah.
Incredible. Look at what we're discovering in downtown Mount Angel. That's for you, Tara. or Tammy and Cara and Scott and all my other so-called Discover Mount Angel
Yeah,
people, the
yeah.
local downtown businesses who I love and support, and I'm just looking for their love and support as well. So, well, that's phenomenal. We're going to have, this, if you're so motivated and interested, we can do this in a more structured fashion moving forward, and we can share archives, you know.
Yeah, I'll start going.
I could
I'll
put a
have to.
soft light box right here or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and we can just start talking and showing some of this. That would be a whole photography effort, and then
Well,
we can get other photographers to come to Mount Angel.
Oh, yeah, that would
and
be
sit
cool.
here and
Yeah,
talk with us.
yeah. I'm pretty sure, because I don't have time to get anything printed from where we are.
Something that's hangable or frameable,
So-
prints or frames and
Right.
prints
So
and
I
frames.
will look and see what I have.
Whatever you got, bring it to
Okay.
me next week.
And I will bring it. Yeah.
All right. Are we good? I have
We're
no
good.
idea how long I did this. You did make it back in a jiffy.
I know.
And
All I had to do was turn off that running water.
I think we've been going for about 35 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Or something to that effect. Let me see. Postponed to next Friday. Oh. There's a new Silver Falls Film Festival. I might as well promote them because that's about the arts in a rural area.
Yeah.
A gentleman named Mike Turner, part of the Salem Silverton Arts Association, started the Silver Falls Film Festival, SFFF, Silver Falls Film Festival, last year.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to have it again this year tonight. But because of the weather, he asked me at the beginning of the week if I could host it if the rain them out. But he made the executive decision based on what the forecasts were. So now it looks like they're postponing it 1 week. So you can still catch
Okay, cool.
the screening of the Silver Falls Film Festival in its entirety a week from tonight in, what do you call that park? McLean? In Silverton, the park, the big park near Joel.
Oh, yeah.
Near Joel and Ron's house. It's right.
It's across the river.
Yeah, it's across the Silver Falls River from downtown, just across the river in the little neighborhood. I think it's McLean Park. We're gonna have to sharpen our stuff up before we get going. But check out if you're local, check out the Silver Falls Film Festival a week from tonight in the park just ask anybody, downtown Silverton. These are small towns. And I'm going to show some of those films during the Oktoberfest here. So
nice.
if you miss the actual screening of the actual film festival, you'll be able to catch some of that here. You'll catch Cathy and I again, and we won't do so much all over the place next time. We'll be more specific. We'll just come up with,
And I'll bring. I have
books or prints or on digitize. Have you digitized much of this work?
I have not digitized them, but I have some nice, good size imagery.
But some of your work is digital.
Oh yeah.
So at some point you could bring me some of that too, and we could get the screen going with the projector and talk about work.
Okay, well, I'll run through. I've got everything on little discs.
You bring them over here, I put them on my laptop, and we go.
Yeah, okay.
So we can do that.
I'll start going through.
Okay, so you can squeeze in a little bit of the photography still in your retirement, and in between all your fun and tricks and
travel
and travel and pickleball. So John Deschler here, Cathy Cheney. I'm sure you can Google both of us and find lots of pictures that we did. Isn't that the case?
That's true.
Over many decades, particularly the last couple of decades, coming to you from the Mount Angel Theater studio, and where we're starting a live stream podcasting effort that's really about meeting minds in an authentic, non-slick format. That's where we live in the country. it tends to not be that slick, and it doesn't have to be that slick because this is the YouTube universe. But we can bring interesting things, beautiful things to bear. And John, we love you. Say hello to John Simpkins in Iowa. And we will see you again real soon at, what should we call this? Mount Angel TV, the photography show, or the image center, or we're going to continue.
We're going to work on
We're
that.
going to work on that. and we will give it a title. But this is just number one of my first live stream podcast with a guest. So give Cathy a round of applause virtually.
Thank you.
And we will see you all soon. Particularly in the future when you're watching this on record, on the recording, you know. So,
all right.
love you, honey. Thank you so much.
See if I can get up.
I'm gonna turn it off. You left your bag over here.
I know, and I left my thermos over here.
And we're still on camera number one. There we go. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
And then I just put it back on logo.
Oh, great. Great.
And then I say stop streaming.
Yeah.
And in 1 minute or 2 minutes when you're home, you can say, John, look, we just made a TV show down